Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of a 3-part series on the 5 most common mistakes that almost every home seller will make prior to putting their home on the market. And learning how to avoid these mistakes will save you tens of thousands of dollars. In today's video, we are going to take a deep dive into the importance of getting a pre-listing home inspection performed by a licensed general contractor. This is the single most important advice I can give to any potential home seller. Why? Because most realtors will never recommend it, and most sellers don't know they need it. So let's get into the video, and here we go. Did you know that most home sellers who put their houses on the market will do so without knowing the actual condition of their home? That is not very smart. Why? Because number one, the number one lawsuit in the state where I live is lack of disclosure. And number two, how am I supposed to, as your realtor, give you a true idea of your net proceeds if I don't know what's going to come up in the home inspection? And number three, I can't remove a negative connotation that a buyer has received from a home inspection once it happens. Getting a home inspection prior to putting it on the market will solve all these problems. Most people think that the buyer is going to get his own home inspection. So why should the seller spend the money to get one? Well, as I said, most home sellers are not actually aware of the condition of their property because they've lived there too long. And you get used to stuff over time and the little subtle fixes that you do to keep the house running. But when you go on the market, that's different because there are really only 6 major issues that can go wrong with a house. 1 is the structure, 2 is the roof, 3 is the foundation, 4 is the plumbing, 5 is the electrical, 6 the sewer line, and if you have a chimney, that would be number 7. Finding out what's wrong with your home prior to going on the market will do 2 things. Number 1, it could save you a ton of money. And number 2, it could keep the deal together. Because let's say that your buyer and their home inspector call out certain issues and the buyer gets afraid and backs out of the deal. That happens all the time. Or you have a savvy buyer who has a home inspection and decides they can ask you for a huge credit based on what they find in the home inspection. If you get a home inspection prior to going on the market, that solves this problem. Why? Because you can get your own inspections, investigations, and due diligence and know what's wrong with the house, disclose it properly, and make sure that it goes away. Well, what do you mean? How do you make it go away? Well, number 1, you can fix it. Number 2, you can get an estimate and give a credit for your estimate, which is generally lower than what the buyer's estimate is going to be. Or number 3, you can just disclose it and not do anything and hope the buyer's okay with it. But either way, at least you know what's going on because you're not like an ostrich sticking your head in the sand and pretending that nothing's wrong. So just to be clear, we're not looking to fix, repair, or credit for every item that's in the home inspection report because every house has something wrong with it. And some inspectors will catch things that other inspectors miss. But the major items like the foundation, every home inspector is going to catch that. Those are the things that could cost us a ton of money or break the deal. And that's what we're looking to prevent. Number 2, legalities. The number 1 lawsuit, at least where I live, in California, is lack of disclosure. And the buyers often accuse the seller of not disclosing things they must have known about the house. This solves that problem. Why? Because if, God forbid, you end up in court, what do you mean I didn't disclose? I gave you a home inspection performed by a licensed general contractor, and then you had your own, and you knew more about the house than anybody possible. So what do you mean I didn't disclose? This is brilliant because it saves this problem, makes it go away. Number 3, the buyers like it because it gives them the impression that you're being transparent, open, and honest about what you know about the house. And it removes that fear factor that doesn't have to be there. And so by disclosing it, you've really solved a big problem. So anytime I've had an open house on a listing and a buyer comes up to me and says they're interested in the house and I let them know that I have a full home inspection that was just done on the house, They always ask me the same question. Why don't all realtors do this? It makes total sense. And my answer is I have no idea. It just seems like the smart thing to do. As far as the seller, it gives you a sense of confidence because you know what's going on before you come into the deal. And you've made potential deal breakers go away before they have to come up and become a huge headache. So, in conclusion, if you're about to put your home on the market, do not rely on the buyer's home inspector because not all home inspectors are created equal. There are no guidelines for home inspectors. Some of them are contractors, some of them are not. Some of them know what they're doing, some of them don't. So it's very important that you don't rely on the buyer's home inspection. Get your own before you go on the market. That will be the best $500, $600, $700 you ever spend, guaranteed. Because going into the deal with confidence changes the whole perspective, makes the deal easy, makes everybody happy, and win-win negotiating is the way to go. Well, that's the video. Join me for part 3 of the 5 common mistakes that most sellers make. And before we go, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel for more videos about real estate. Leave your comments about putting your home on the market in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.